Okay, now comes the fun part. Now we're going to do a modified version of a Tu B'Shvat Seder. Usually these would take place the night before Tu B'Shvat, so this would have taken place on Wednesday evening. Instead, you're watching it on Thursday morning. And first, I want to show you that there are a tremendous number of resources out there for creating, leading, running your own Tu B'Shvat Seder. So I have a few books here that I'm going to show you. This one, which was published by the Central Conference of American Rabbis quite a number of years ago. Let me see when it was, 1989, is a wonderful guide, and it's got a beautiful Seder with all kinds of readings, just like you would do at a regular Pesach Seder, planting songs, music to sing. It's a really wonderful resource. That one is called Seder Tu B'Shvat, the Festival of Trees. Then I have this one called a Tu B'Shvat Seder, the Feast of Fruits from the Tree of Life, from the Jewish Spirit booklet series. Again, filled with lovely explanations of all the different things you do, the kinds of fruits you eat, the kind of wine you drink, stories to tell, and so on and so forth. This is the one that I'm going to be using today. I really love it. It is put out by JNF, the Jewish National Fund, which is, of course, the organization that does some of the tree planting in Israel. And what I like, it's called Branching Out Your Tu B'Shvat Haggadah. And what I like about this is that it's got great explanations of the different cups of wine, because as I mentioned, we're going to have 4 cups of wine. And but it also has little pages that fold out so that if your guests at your Tu B'Shvat Seder get bored, which God only now knows how they could because it's a lot of fun, you can, there are activities and um, uh, puzzles and all kinds of things to do. So I love this one, and this one's the one we're going to be using. And needless to say, on the computer, online resources are just completely plentiful. This is from an organization called 18 Doors, which produces resources for interfaith families. And this is from the PJ Library, which is the Tu B'Shvat Seder, Basic Blessings to Accompany the Tu B'Shvat Seder. If you don't know about PJ Company, I don't have time to explain it to you now, but I hope that you will ask me about it because it is a fantastic program. And if you have grandchildren or great-grandchildren, you want to hear about the PJ Library. So in front of me, I'm actually using one of my Seder plates, and I have a variety of fruits and nuts and so on it um, for display purposes and some for eating purposes. You'll notice I have a glass of white wine and I have a glass of red wine. And it is real, but I'm going to be taking teeny tiny sips. So don't worry about me, okay? Um, we are celebrating the rebirth of spring. We're celebrating the fact that the rainy season is over and that we are now coming, even though it is still winter right now, we are coming into a time of rebirth. And we focus on 4 different Kabbalistic teachings that start from the most grounded and the most basic to the more lofty and ethereal and ephemeral. So I'm going to talk to you about those right now. The first is called Asiyah, Asiyah, which means doing. And when you think about nature and the physical world, you think about actions that you can take to repair the world to keep it whole. And the earth, the ground, Eretz, is a symbol of Asiyah because it is permanent and it is solid. And that is the physical world in which we can do actions to repair the world. So this is considered to be the most grounding of the four elements, so to speak, of the Passover Seder. So as a symbol of Asiyah, as a symbol of the doing, we eat fruits and nuts with a tough outer shell and a soft inside, reminding us that God protects us, both our bodies, our outer shell, as well as our souls, which are inside. So think of the types of fruits and nuts and things that grow on trees and vines that would be tough on the outside and soft on the inside. Things like walnuts, almonds, hazelnuts, pomegranate. If you've ever cut open a pomegranate, you know that the shell of a pomegranate, the rind is quite tough. You have to really saw through it. It's very hard to just peel off. Grapefruit, coconut, pineapple, pistachios, banana, and kiwi. All of these have an inedible, tough outer shell that in order to get to the sweet, soft meat inside, you got to take that shell off. So to represent that today, I have not a grapefruit, but an orange with an outer peel. And I have nuts. So I have almonds, and I have walnuts, and I have some hazelnuts in here, and I have pistachio nuts, which I love. And we say a bracha before we eat, and we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'etz. Our sovereign God, we bless you who creates the fruit of the tree. And we eat the fruit. Okay, in addition to that, of course, we make a kiddush. And we're going to have 4 glasses of wine, each one with a kiddush. And we are going to first taste the white wine. And if you think about white juice, it reminds us of winter, the cold of winter, the white of the snow, not here, but in other places, and the fact that there's really less color in the world at this time. Leaves, trees, grass, flowers, and so on. So we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Blessed are you, our God, sovereign of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. And I'm taking a little tiny sip. That is the first section of the Seder. Now we move on to the second section. And again, these are all based in Kabbalistic thought, in Jewish mysticism and spirituality. And this next step that we get to, because we just did Asiyah, which is the doing, think about this in terms of creation as well. God is doing the act of creation. Now we get to Yetzirah. Yetzirah, which means formation. And in order to create the world, there was a tremendous amount of God had to form this and form that, separated the waters from the sky, created animals, created human beings. These are forms and physical things that were created. And in fact, you may be familiar with the word yotzer, create, and that is a prayer. The yotzer is a prayer that we say in the morning when we bless God for creating the world anew every day, and for creating the sun and the morning lights and so on and so forth. So Yitzirah is kind of the next level of mindfulness above doing stuff, more mechanical. Now we're getting a little more into the formation. And we eat fruits with soft outer shells and hard insides. So what's a hard inside? Inside a fruit? A pit. And so This reminds us that we can have strong inner energy and we don't need to be hard on the outside. We can still have a strong moral fiber, a strong core, and we can yet be soft on the outside. So think about those kinds of fruits that have pits inside but are soft on the outside. So for this, we eat things like olives, dates, peaches, apricots, plums, avocados, and cherries. I suppose, no, a papaya wouldn't be because it's got a pit, but it's also got a shell on it. So I unfortunately don't have any of those fruits that have a pit inside. So I'm going to do the bracha with a nut instead. And Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'etz. Blessed are you, our God, creator of the universe, who creates the fruit of the tree. That was delicious. And as spring approaches, because now we're out of the cold winter and the rainy weather, the sun begins to warm the frozen earth. The landscape begins to change from white to red as the first flowers appear. And as I mentioned earlier, the first trees to bloom in Israel are the shkadim, the almond trees with these beautiful pink flowers. And so we begin to see us coming out of the white of winter into some more color. And as a symbol of that, we change the white wine and we mix some of the red with it for a second cup. Not a lot, just a tiny little bit, just to make it just a little pink, just a little pink. And we do the bracha, the kiddush, with that second cup. And I think you can see the color is changing just a little. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Second cup, but I will not be drinking 4 cups of wine. Okay, so we have had Asiyah and Yitzirah, and now we get to Bria, creation. Bria, creation. And if you think about ideas and hopes and dreams, the natural laws and patterns of nature that govern the universe, so much involved in creation. You know, we look at these shells on some mollusks that go around and have mathematical equations that can be applied to them. When somebody, briut means health. The word briut means health. And of course, if you don't have breath, if you don't have the life breath within you, you're not very healthy. So bria refers to health, refers to breath, refers to creation. And when somebody sneezes, the Hebrew word is labriut, to your health. So the symbol of bria, the symbol of creation, is that we eat fruits that are soft throughout so that the whole fruit can be eaten. So here, there's no difference between our inner feelings and our outer selves. So perhaps it is when we are most authentic, because when you can let your outer being mirror what your inner being is all about, then you are really an authentic human being. You are not withholding who you are. And so we eat these fruits that are soft on the outside and the inside. Fruits like figs, seedless grapes, blueberries, raisins, raspberries, and strawberries. So for that blessing, I have some blueberries and some grapes, and I'm going to eat a blueberry and a grape after we do the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'etz. Blessed are you, our God, sovereign of the universe, who creates the fruit of the tree. No shell to remove, no peel to remove, and no pit in the middle. Soft on the outside, soft on the inside. Just the way you want to be. Okay, we've talked about winter, we've talked about spring. Now, during the summer, fruits and vegetables are plentiful. The variety, the options are endless. The air is warm, and we are reminded of the richness of life. As a symbol of this change, we mix more red juice or wine into the white for a deeper color. So we're getting a little darker as we go. And here we are entering into the summer, and you can now see that it's gone from a light pink to a dark pink. And we're going to make our kiddush over the wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. And finally, we get to the Shulchan Aruch, the festive meal, just like we do in a Passover Seder. We have a festive meal. We do a motzi. So I'm not going to do a motzi now because I don't have any bread with me, and I'm not going to eat a meal afterwards. But there is a motzi. You have a beautiful meal, and you can even have a treasure hunt or a treasure hunt, during which you hide maybe some different seeds from the fruits that you've eaten, put them in different places, and you can play hot and cold. The kids or the adults are looking for the seeds, and you're telling them when they're getting hotter and colder, and finally somebody finds it, and then you can finish the meal. You talk about the 7 species. It's important to talk about the 7 species. As I mentioned, 5 of them are traditionally eaten at a Tu B'Shvat Seder, and then the wheat and the barley can be part of your festive meal. And then we do the 4th cup of wine. Now, interesting that this fourth mindfulness that we are thinking about at this time is called Atzilut, which means nobility. And we think about how pure and how noble the spirit is, and loving kindness, power, and beauty. We feel close to God, and we remember that each creature is part of one universe. So just as God is regal and God is a king, so too are we noble. But it doesn't have to do with who your mama and your papa were. It has to do with the way in which you behave and carry yourself. So, Atzilut. We don't eat any fruits for Atzilut to symbolize this, because God and our relationship with God is timeless. It's infinite. It's impossible to describe, and it isn't tactile. It is not something that we can taste or touch, but it's something more spiritual. So we don't eat any particular fruits with Atzilut. And besides, we just had dinner, so we're probably really full. And then we think about summertime. So here we are in the spring with the darker rosé, not quite the light Zinfandel, but a darker. And as summer turns to fall, what happens? Well, plants begin to turn inward to prepare their seeds. Animals turn inward for rest. People turn inward. But we have that deepness and richness of the fall. And we remember our purpose is to live in balance with harmony, that all of God's creation. As a symbol of this season, the 4th cup of the wine or juice is full strength, dark red. And so we add more red until we have spilled it on the tablecloth. But that's okay. It's washable. And as you can see, we now have a dark cup of wine. And again, we say, Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Blessed are you, our God, sovereign of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. L'chaim. So that, in a nutshell, is a Tu B'Shvat Seder. Next year, God willing, we will do a full Tu B'Shvat Seder. It's a lot of fun. There are some wonderful games you can play, some fabulous songs that are sung that talk about the Festival of Trees. And my hope is, God willing, that next year we'll all be together to celebrate this wonderful, wonderful festival of Tu B'Shvat. I want to thank you so much for joining me this morning. This video is going to replay this afternoon, and I believe Friday morning as well. So you'll have a couple, if you fell asleep in the middle of it and came on for the end, you'll have an opportunity to watch it again. And at this time, I wish you lahitraot. I will see you tomorrow at 4:15 and 4:30 for Shabbat blessings. And then, of course, Saturday morning Shabbat at 10 o'clock for services. For now, lahitraot. Bye-bye.